Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our NXT Takeover recap. This was the very first NXT event that I got to see firsthand, and I gotta say I was very impressed, and I can't wait to cover this event. This is a very good event, and I think it definitely shines a huge light on the NXT and just how good these wrestlers are. My name's RJ. I am joined today by Corey. Corey, what did you think of NXT Takeover?
Oh man, I thought it was an excellent card that showcased the younger talents in the WWE, and I think it may be a sign of things to come that we may see on the main stage on Mondays and Fridays.
Yeah, definitely. With this new WWE network, it definitely makes a great stage for these guys. They need content on the network, and this is perfect. I think this is a lot better than the sitcoms and reality shows that they're coming out with. I think this stuff is awesome, and the more the merrier, if you ask me. And this was a truly epic event because you saw a lot of WWE superstars show up. Of course, we're looking at Triple H, the man himself was there. Paige, who was a former NXT female champion there, she showed up. We had a star-studded cast. I mean, Ric Flair's daughter fought against Bret Hart's daughter. This was awesome, man. Let's go ahead and jump right into it, C-Dub. The first match was Adam Rose, a guy we will be seeing actually debut with his first match, I believe. I don't think he's had his first official match in the WWE yet, correct, Corey?
I'm not 100% sure of that because, to be 100% honest with you, his segments are usually a signal for me to go get another beer or soda or a glass of water.
Great words of wisdom, Corey. I couldn't have said it any better. But unfortunately, we do have to talk about his match here because he defeated Camacho. Basically, him and his Rosebuds entered through the building. They were, of course, partying hard there. The Exotic Express, as they call them, or I guess that's their bus that they come off of. But Adam Rose eventually won. He used his special move, the Party Foul, and he defeated Camacho. Do you have anything to say about this one, C-Dub?
Yeah, this match, it was a pretty tame opener. Adam Rose does seem to get a pretty good reaction with the NXT crowd. I think that WWE could use Camacho a little bit better. He is, of course, the son of one of the most legit, scary badasses in the wrestling business, Haku, a.k.a. Ming, from WCW. And I feel like they could use Camacho a little bit better. Maybe, I don't know, just let him be himself. Pair him up with the Usos. Hell, I don't know. Anything is better than jobbing out to Adam Rose. Adam Rose just doesn't do it for me, man. I mean, it seems like his gimmick would work so much better as a heel, but they insist on making him a babyface. So it is what it is, man. It was perfectly acceptable wrestling.
Yeah, of course, we here at Trippy Commentaries are not too excited about the Adam Rose debut in the WWE, but, we'll see. We'll give him a slight chance here, but so far it looks pretty putrid. Let's move on to match number 2. It was the NXT Tag Team Championship match. We saw the Ascension, of course, already the champs, coming in fighting against El Local and Kalisto. Corey, what happened?
Yeah, we saw the reigning NXT Tag Team Champions, Connor and Victor, the Ascension, take on Kalisto y El Local. Fun little tidbit here. El Local is actually Ricardo Rodriguez, the former announcer for Alberto Del Rio. If you couldn't tell by that little gut he's got going on there. I thought it was a pretty good match. There was a great blend of styles with the Luchadors versus the Power. Kalisto is, of course, was formerly known as Samurai del Sol. He had a pretty good run in AAA down in Mexico, as well as elsewhere on the independents. He's a hell of a worker. He's very entertaining to watch. I really thought El Local, a.k.a. Ricardo, sucked. It's just pretty bad.
Yeah, he was.
Kalisto was fantastic. We saw the champs retain their titles. I can see this becoming a feud, that stays going, just because of as I said, that great blend of styles with the high-flying luchador offense against the high-impact powerhouse offense of the Ascension.
Yeah, I thought that was a decent match. But now that we got those two matches out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to 3 great matches. And I can't wait to talk about this with you, C-Dub. The first match was my guy Sami Zayn. This guy, I think, has a really bright future. Definitely has WWE potential. Possibly, could see him as a contender there on Raw and SmackDown. He went against Tyler Breeze. This was an up-and-down matchup. Really impressive wrestling. A lot of unique moves here, Corey, that I'd never seen before. Tell us all about this one.
Yeah, like you said, we saw Sami Zayn and Tyler Breeze taking on one another for the number 1 contendership to the NXT Championship. We saw, of course, Sami Zayn was formerly known as El Generico. To anyone who's not really familiar with wrestling outside of the WWE, Generico, a.k.a. Sami, has been one of the most impressive prospects on the independent circuit for quite a few years now. I feel like he really carried the match. Like you said, man, I think Sami Zayn is pretty close to being WWE ready. I feel like he could use a little bit more gimmick and a little bit more personality, almost like he had as El Generico. I thought that Tyler Breeze, who did pick up the win, I thought he could use a little bit more work. There was the finish to the match involved a shot to the balls, which to me is just retarded. I mean, that's just the worst thing you can do in a pro wrestling finish is a nut shot. It's all right for a heel to do it, in the middle of a match or something as kind of a momentum stopper of sorts, to kind of bring the crowd back down. But for a finish, it's so anticlimactic. I feel like Sami Zayn is the guy that they should have put up there. I think Sami taking on, of course, the NXT champion Adrian Neville. I feel like that is a junior heavyweight dream match on any card.
Yeah, I was definitely confused by that as well. I mean, Sami Zayn had a couple what looked like finishing moves where I thought he was going to go ahead and get the victory, but Tyler Breeze was, I guess, a pain in the ass there. He kept coming back, and he eventually, he had the nut shot there. They tried to pass it off as not, not on purpose. It was incidental contact, apparently, but he definitely took advantage of it. It seems like maybe they're trying to hype up this Tyler Breeze guy. He was taking pictures of himself. I don't know about that gimmick, Corey. Is this a guy you see any future out of?
I will say that the Tyler Breeze's whole gimmick with the selfies, which, God, I hate the word selfies alone. I feel like he works pretty well as a heel. But the question is, does he make people hate him, or does he make people just want to turn off the TV and say, fuck you? I feel like there was, as I said, Breeze needs a little bit more work. Some of the moves were a little bit sloppy, which, that's kind of to be expected with the junior heavyweight style. As I said, man, Sami really carried the match. I think, Tyler Breeze probably is going to be pushed up. To that, well, he is going to be pushed up. He won the match to the number 1 contendership position.
Yeah.
And I think really by proxy, that's just because he is a heel and Sami Zayn is so over with the crowd. Of course, we'll get into the state of the NXT Championship here in a moment. But I feel like Tyler Breeze is, for now, maybe a better choice. To go with the traditional heel versus face gimmick going on there for the NXT title picture. Yeah,
we'll see what comes of Sami Zayn. We're looking at him right now. He definitely has a good style, and I mean, before he gets to WWE, he's probably going to make a little bit more, or have to make a little bit more waves in NXT. So we'll see if he can make a return and possibly go against Adrian Neville here at some point in the future. Let's move on to the next match, which was the Women's Championship. It was a tournament that ended up with Charlotte against Natalya, the daughters of Ric Flair and Bret Hart. This was quite the matchup, Corey. This is one of the most impressive female wrestling matches that I've seen. Go ahead and recap it for us.
Well, before I jump into the the NXT Women's Championship match, I guess you could call it a match. We saw Rusev come out, of course, with Lana. And just start into his tirade about Vladimir Putin and how he's going to crush everybody. Then we saw a guy who, I don't really get it. His whole gimmick is that he stays hyped. Mojo Rawley, who is a former Maryland Terrapin. It was basically a squash match. You saw Rusev come out there and just kick his ass, throw him into his finisher, stomp him, beat him up the entranceway. I have here in my notes that Mojo sucks, and that's about it. It was a complete squash.
Yeah, it was the classic Rusev crushing a jobber, only here at the NXT big event. It's too bad because this jobber here really seemed like he was confident of himself, and he got completely crushed. Not only the first time, but Rusev decided to go up and get him in that. What's that hold he has? Do you know what that's called, Corey? I forgot.
Oh, man, if you would have asked me, I would have been able to tell you.
I'll look it up while we go ahead and cover this next match here. What'd you think about that women's match?
Getting into the women's match, as we see here on the screen, we saw a short promo from the new WWE Divas Champion Paige, who had to, of course, relinquish her NXT Women's Championship whenever she won that title. And over the last few weeks on NXT, we've seen a tournament to determine who will face off here tonight at TakeOver for that vacant title. And, of course, the two finalists were the daughter of Ric Flair, Charlotte, against the daughter of Jim the Anvil Neidhart, the niece of Bret the Hitman Hart, and, of course, the granddaughter of the legendary Stu Hart, Natalya. Man, I got to tell you, this, to me, was the match of the night, and it blew me away, man. Right from the start, we saw a lot of great chain wrestling. There were a lot of really clean transitions as far as move to move. The crowd was super into it, man. I mean, to me, it was like Bizarro World compared to your typical Raw or SmackDown Divas match that gets like 5 minutes and zero reaction. There was a lot of great reversals. There was some really, really just brutal slaps from the two girls. I mean, they were laying it in. I feel like these two have pretty good chemistry. Probably have pretty good chemistry out of the ring with both of them growing up in wrestling families. We saw a couple really cool maneuvers out of Charlotte that really impressed me. She utilized a variation on her father's figure four leg lock finisher. She actually put Natalya into a figure four headlock, which I thought was pretty cool. The only thing that turned me off in the match is we did see some less than stellar camera work, which does happen. I could definitely see Natty calling a few spots there. There was at one point, there was a really awesome moonsault that Charlotte missed, but it was just brutal, man. I know Ashley Flair, a.k.a. Charlotte, has a background in cheerleading and gymnastics, so I'm thinking we could see more high-flying action in the future from her. We saw a couple really awesome transitions. There was a lot of psychology in this match as far as each woman trying to get their various finishers, or I guess technically the finishers of the people that were in their corner, Ric Flair and Bret Hart. We saw each of the two fighting between each other from the sharpshooter to the figure four. It was just a lot of great psychology and chain wrestling, man. Charlotte ended up taking the victory there. That really wasn't a surprise to me, as Natalya, of course, is on the main roster. I didn't exactly expect her to just go down to NXT and defend the title. I gotta say, man, these two chicks had some awesome timing, awesome psychology. Like I said, I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and it's really not even stepping out on a limb, but I'm gonna give it match of the night, man. I was very, very, very surprised at what a great match it actually was.
Yeah, fantastic match. Definitely good to see the old timers out there, and Ric Flair was truly proud of his daughter, that's for sure. Getting back to Rusev here, his finisher is the Accolade. Of course, his version of the camel clutch there, C-Dub. That's an impressive move. He does not let go until Lana does her hand signal there.
That's right. And just one more thing to touch on the Ric Flair, Ashley, aka Charlotte Flair. That whole match. Rick's son Reed actually passed. I think it was last year. Rick's son Reed passed away of a drug overdose, and so you could see that Ric Flair was pretty emotional in there, which that's standard for the Nature Boy. But I think it was a pretty cool moment for Rick and his daughter to be able to have that big moment on a grand stage, on a nationwide stage. It's not worldwide just yet, of course, the network. But, I thought that was a pretty cool moment. Time will tell what we end up seeing out of Charlotte. I feel like she's got a pretty good future ahead of her. Of course, she's got the pedigree from her dad, so we shall see what happens as we get on to our coverage here of the big main event.
Yep, NXT Championship match, Adrian Neville coming in with the championship, going against Tyson Kidd. This was a big-time matchup. Neville actually called it the biggest in his career. He did come out on top, but it was a back-and-forth slobber knocker. These guys, Adrian Neville is not the biggest guy out there, but they really put on a big show, Corey.
Yeah, these two guys, coming into this, I fully expected this to be a junior heavyweight showcase. I expected a lot of really fast-paced action. I noticed at first the crowd wasn't quite as responsive as I thought they would be for this big main event. And I think you could maybe attribute that to the fact that they might have been a little bit burned out from that last match, from the women's match. I hate to say it, but it felt like to me that Natalya kind of upstaged her husband, TJ, there. Either way, crowd reaction, aside, we did see more great transitions in mat wrestling, something that me, as an old school fan of the territory days and, the old school WWF, I thought it was great. I was loving the good old fashioned mat wrestling, transitions, chaining between moves. And of course, we did see a lot of the typical luchador junior heavyweight spots. There was, at one point, you saw Adrian Neville, he flipped out of a monkey flip and landed right on his feet. It looked amazing.
Yeah.
For most of the match, Tyson Kidd was the aggressor. He had at one point a pretty sick-looking dive to the outside through the top and middle ropes. There was a lot of good high-flying action, as well as the mat wrestling and chain wrestling. And the thing is, in this match, a lot of high-flying matches end up becoming sort of like an acrobatic show or like Cirque du Soleil or something. It's kind of like just a big spot fest, and it looks very premeditated. But I feel like tonight's match didn't have that. They had really good pacing. There was some pretty innovative maneuvers. There was actually at one point one of those holy shit moments. We saw, I believe it was Tyson Kidd. I'm pretty sure he hit it. I could be wrong. He went up while Adrian Neville was attempting, I guess, a Asai moonsault, the lion salt that Chris Jericho utilizes. We saw Tyson Kidd come up with a reverse Russian legs, it's not a reverse Russian leg sweep. That would be a side Russian leg sweep. from the second rope as Neville was attempting to springboard off. And it looked brutal, man. That was the first time I can say I've ever seen that. Also in the match, we saw a big suplex reversal spot where both guys ended up going to the outside, basically suplexing each other over the ropes. There was the big, of course, double down, kind of brings the crowd down and brings down the momentum and gets them to start building back up again. We saw Tyson Kidd look for his dungeon lock, which is a sick submission maneuver. It's almost like a cross between a Kimura and there's like an arm trap in there where he grabs the arm and pulls it. It's really cool finishing move that I really liked. And speaking of finishing moves, we saw after what I thought was a really good match, we saw the champion Adrian Neville retain after he hits the red arrow, aka the Phoenix Splash, as it was called whenever Hayabusa innovated it over in Japan.
I noticed that Tyson Kidd refused the handshake from Neville after the victory there. Unfortunately, he was kind of a sore loser there, but Adrian Neville holds on to the championship. That's definitely good to see out of him, and we'll see what comes. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this episode here, this was a big-time event here for the NXT, and we'll see what comes next, man. This is truly impressive, and Adrian Neville has a lot on his shoulders now, holding the championship. Thank you guys for joining us in this NXT Takeover recap. Thank you, Corey, and we'll definitely check in with the NXT very soon. See you guys.